Good evening, everyone. I'm Ankit, and you're watching the Indian Express analysis, which goes live every day at 4 p.m., basically a few minutes after 4 p.m. on our StudyIQ IS English channel, right? Now, today is 5th of June, and we are going to discuss important news and articles from our today's newspaper. We'll start off our today's discussion by understanding the decision of Union government to hold census and complete it by March 2027, and this will be a census that will happen after 2011. Now, otherwise, census should have happened by 2021, but we understand country was in the lockdown during COVID, and because of COVID restrictions, we could not held census back in 2021. So for many reasons, it was delayed further. Now the government has announced they will start doing this census from next year onwards and will it completed by March the 2024. So what is the census exercise? How it will lead to several developments and changes in Indian society, Indian politics, all of this we are going to discuss in our today's discussion. Now this is relevant from GS paper 2 perspective because it effectively deals with politics and governance. In the second article, we'll understand why is there a debate going on in delimitation. One of the consequences of census will be the implementation of exercise of delimitation. Delimitation is changing the allotment of seats for various state legislative assemblies and also of Lok Sabha. And this is expected to happen because earlier there was this restriction on the delimitation exercise because due to 84th Amendment Act, it was prohibited to conduct delimitation exercise before 2026. Now that says delimitation exercise will be conducted after the first census from 2026. So this will be eligible for delimitation exercise. So in that regard, we'll try to understand what is the process of delimitation and why are there debates going on around it. Especially from the southern state side, they feel that when and if and when delimitation will happen, it will automatically negatively impact the political interest of southern states. So all of this I'm going to tell you in our today's discussion. This also is important from GS paper 2 perspective, particularly from structure and functioning of legislatures, right? In the third article, we'll be covering a very important national park located in the state of Assam, Kaziranga National Park. Kaziranga National Park is in news because of illegal mining despite prohibition of illegal mining or mining activities anywhere nearby Kaziranga National Park. So how will it impact Kaziranga National Park? What are the various features? What are the important species in Kaziranga National Park? All of this I will tell you in our today's discussion, and this is relevant from GS paper 3 perspective. In the fourth article, we'll be covering Financial Stability and Development Council because it is an apex regulatory authority which includes all the heads of important regulatory authority in India. What it does, what members it includes, how it functions, FSDC, everything I will tell you in our today's discussion. This is again relevant from economy perspective. So the relevant paper here is GS paper 3. And if the time permits, the last article, it will be about Finance Commission of India because Finance Commission of India right now is in a process of holding discussions with various state governments, and after that it will decide on the formula how to divide funds or taxation money between union government and state governments and between the various state governments. So here the role of Finance Commission becomes very important, which is a constitutional body formed as per the Article 280 of the Constitution. So who all are the members of Finance Commission, how it functions, what are its roles and responsibilities, all of this we will cover, and this is relevant from GS paper 2 perspective because it deals with the important fact that is fiscal federalism, right? So this is all article that we are going to discuss today. Rishi, Mini, Kanchan, Lydia, Sipra, Tony, Geeta, all of you, good evening. Namaskar to Sipra. Right. Now, the first article of the day, the notes, they will be available on my Telegram channel. This is called as ATS Live. So, what you can do is search the words ATS Live on the top right hand corner of your app. You'll find the channel, and if for some reason you still are not able to find the channel, scan this QR code, right? Subscribe to the channel if you still haven't and download the notes, right? Now, on your popular demand, I've also introduced one practice means question in our today's discussion. So let's see how many of you write. So once you done with writing the answers, please do submit in this particular group. There's a added group in this ATS live discussion. So you can submit your answers there, and I will request other fellow aspirants to help your fellow aspirants to check their answers, right? So this is how you should take initiative because time right now does not permit me to check the answers, right? So let us start our today's discussion with this first page article. It says in big words, long wait ends because census will be completed by March 2027 and it will also include the count of caste of people, right? Now this article obviously appeared in the front page of the newspaper, and it is relevant from GS paper 2 perspective. So first, let us understand the context of our today's discussion. Now, government yesterday, it said that the process of data collection for the exercise of census, which will be taking place alongside the enumeration of your caste, would commence early next year, and this will give the snapshot of country's population as it will be on March the 1st, 2027. Now, the last census exercise, it happened only in March 2011. It was expected to happen in 2021, but it was delayed obviously due to COVID-19 pandemic. So in this regard, we'll also understand the history of census, how or why is this census significant? Because it takes alongside with it the data of caste also. Why it is significant, I will tell you, need not worry. Now, what happens now? Let us understand this. Now, this exercise will officially begin with a notification announcing the government's intention to conduct the exercise of population census, similar to how UPSC issues notification with an intention to say that, see, we are holding an exam for civil services exam, and I will invite all the applicants to submit their application. Similarly, for every exercise, government issues a notification publicly to say that this is official, we begin the exercise of census, and this will be published in the official gazette tentatively on June 16th, this very month. And operationally, census is a massive exercise that is holding in, or that is held in two different parts. First part of the census is house listing and housing census, and after that is completed, the enumerators go every door to door and collect the data, which is the population enumeration data, right? Now, house listing, this is the first phase, and it is expected to take about 5 to 6 months. And after that, the population count will be held, which is the second phase, and it is expected to start in February 2027 and will be completed in 1 month. Now, government has said that all the data that the government will collect in this census will be collected digitally. So obviously, processing and publishing of digital data would become much easier and much quicker, right? Now, the reference date or the specific point of time for which the population data will be collected and highlighted, this reference date for the hilly areas has been set as October 1st, 2026, whereas for the rest of India, it has been set as March 1st, 2027. So whenever the population data of the census will be out in public, it will say that India's population is so and so amount of crore on March the 1st, 2027, but not for hilly areas. Hilly areas, as they witness snowfall in the months, that is why the data will be completed by October 1st, 2026, before the beginning of winter and snow season, right? Now, earlier, there was this big demand for caste census, because the caste data in census was last collected not in 2011, not in 2001, but in census of 1931, and in independent India from 1951 onwards, government of India collected some kind of caste data, but it was only related to people belonging to scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. And also, in addition to these caste based data, government also collected the data based on religious dominations of the people who are giving their data. But the members of caste groups other than SCs and STs, primarily people belonging to categories of other backward classes, these data were not collected by census in the independent India. And the most recent caste data that is available with the government is from census of 1931, because 1941 census, although it happened, but the figures were never released because the colonial government went busy with the World War II. So the latest caste data that the government of India has is from 1931, because in independent India's history, government has not collected caste data of every caste. It has only collected data of SCs and STs population, in addition to asking your religious denomination, right? Now, ahead of the first census in independent India, it was the conscious decision of then government led by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru to avoid asking you the caste question, because government felt that in independent India we should start from beginning, and if we ask people their caste based data and automatically if we publish those data, those will solidify your caste based identity. And as caste was a basis of discrimination in India to an extent that many people were considered untouchable just because they were born in a particular caste, government wanted to eradicate this practice. So we understand the government's rationale in avoiding asking you the caste, but thereafter demands for caste census were repeatedly raised, specifically by those political parties who catered to the population who are now known as other backward classes. So there was this indeed so much pressure on the government, but still for greater good, government avoided asking or raising the issue of caste in the census. So therefore, no Indian government has ever carried out a full caste census in independent India. Right now, in absence of a data based on various caste, there is no proper estimate of how much population belongs to the category of other backward classes, and within that, how many of these other backward classes represent caste A, caste B, caste C, etc. Right now, the most important estimate that has been available with the government is from Mandal Commission, that was formed specially to identify how many of people are there belonging to OBC and recommend naturally reservation for them. So it estimated that OBC population was 52%, but this was just an estimate. It was not an exact figure. Similarly, other estimate has been made by National Sample Survey Office data. Political parties, they make their own assessment whenever they are going into election, but when it comes to official data, there is no official data on how much people belong to OBC category or different caste categories within OBCs, right? But you will ask, sir, there was this socio-economic caste census, so how you are excluding it? Well, let me tell you how socio-economic caste census was different from census exercise, right? Now in 2010, when the government was planning to conduct 2011 census, automatically then the government of India was ruled by UPA. And in UPA also there was this huge pressure to conduct caste census. And one of them, also Law Minister of India, then Virappa Moily, he recommended to Prime Minister of India saying that caste and community based data should indeed be collected during the census of 2011. But then Home Minister Mr. P. Chidambaram, he highlighted that there were number of logistical and practical difficulties, particularly because there is no uniform nomenclature of caste that is followed India-wide. So people belonging to one caste may be called as A in Gujarat, they will be called as B in Chhattisgarh. So we need to first of all identify different castes, and this is a very big task which won't be possible at such a short notice because census was going to happen in 2011. So they decided not to conduct this caste census alongside the census of 2011, but there was this indeed continued pressure on the UPA government, so it decided to form a separate government of group of ministers under then finance minister, and they recommended that a separate exercise known as socio-economic caste census will be held, but this will be held after the end of the caste or the normal census of 2011. So after the population enumeration exercise of 2011 census ended, then government conducted a separate exercise known as socio-economic caste census. And this socio-economic caste census, this was carried out at a cost of almost 5,000 crore rupees, and this data were published separately for Ministry of Rural Development, who published data for rural areas, whereas Urban Development Ministry or MOHUA right now, they publish data for urban areas. But the data that was published in public, it excluded caste data, and the raw caste data rather was handed over to Niti Aayog, and they framed an expert group under then Vice Chairperson of Niti Aayog to classify and categorize different castes under OBC, under SCs, or under STs. But this data till today has not been made public for various reasons unknown to us, right? So this is the history that earlier India did not conduct any caste census. So whenever it conducted some kind of a caste enumeration, that was SECC, it was conducted after the end of census. But right now, when the census of next census will happen, here in addition to asking demographic details, the surveyors will also ask you your caste based data, right? So that is why this exercise is so significant. Now, let us understand why has government decided to conduct caste exercise including in this census. Now, the reason is a constitutional body, National Commission for Backward Classes in 2021, it urged the government to collect data on populations of OBC as a part of 2021 exercise, and ahead of last Lok Sabha election which happened in 2024, almost every other party except BJP, they came out in support of this caste census, and of late several state governments including Karnataka, including Bihar, they have conducted their own caste based exercise. They can't call them caste census because census is a sole responsibility of union of government, right? So these state government, although they asked the caste of their population, but they called them surveys, and based on the data of these surveys, these state governments are making frequent adjustment in their allocation of quota under their government services, right, which is called as subcategorization exercise. Now to conduct subcategorization exercise India wide, you need an India wide data. And how you'll get India wide data? Only by caste census, which will happen alongside the census exercise, right? So the advantages of census is, first of all, you can undertake a delimitation exercise in Lok Sabha and Assembly constituencies, which has been on hold since 1971, as it was frozen until first census taken after 2026. So this census will be taken after 2026. So it makes eligible the data you get out of the census, and you use that data to conduct delimitation exercise. What is delimitation exercise? I'll discuss it in the next article, need not worry. Similarly, as per the 166th Amendment Act of the Constitution, India, it provided reservation for 33% of seats for women in Lok Sabha as well as state legislative assemblies. And in that particular Amendment Act, it was said that this will be implemented after the next delimitation. And when will delimitation happen? After the census, right? So this will also open the way for implementing reservation of women in legislatures as it was announced by the government as per 106th Amendment Act. Similarly, caste census is certain to give a fillip to demand for increased reservation for certain communities, and also take exercise of subcategorization, that is categorization of caste within the larger umbrella caste of OBC, right? So this will also happen after the data of census is published, which will include caste based enumeration also, right? So this was the first article. Now coming to the second article, which also is a subsection of this first article only, that why this has reopened debate on delimitation and its timeline. Now, what is a delimitation exercise? How it happens? Why is it necessary? Let me tell you all of that in our today's discussion, right? Now, the context of this article, that yesterday as government announced the decision to conduct population census 2027 in 2 phases, which will also include enumeration of caste, it has reopened the debate on delimitation, especially from southern states. Because these southern states, primarily Tamil Nadu, it has accused Government of India to delay the head count so as to reduce the Tamil Nadu's parliamentary representation in India's Lok Sabha. How it will reduce? Need not worry, I will tell you everything. Now, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu has earlier asked central government to extend 1971 census-based delimitation framework for another 30 years beyond 2026, which according to Tamil Nadu government should stay in place until 2026, because otherwise then the southern states will be at a disadvantage. So let us understand why this issue appeared and what is a delimitation exercise. First, let us understand the concept of delimitation. Now, you understand, right now, suppose if you are living in a city of 10 lakh people, you are electing one Lok Sabha MP. So, effectively, what your representation becomes, that a city of 10 lakh people is represented by one MP in a parliament. But what if right now your population of a city is 10 lakh? Few years from now it will increase to 14 lakh. So now the representation after few years will become that 14 lakh people will be represented by one MP. So technically earlier one MP was catering to 10 lakh people, now is catering to more number of people, which effectively reduces the time MP could give to different people, right? So to adjust these representation, we take a periodic exercise known as delimitation, which happens every few years, so that we take into account the increased population of the area. And we also redraw the political boundaries of constituencies based on increase in population, because we understand population right now is growing at a larger rate in urban areas as compared to rural areas. So earlier rural area might be getting more seats, but now as population is increasing more in urban area, we have to allocate more seats in urban area. So this is the sole intention of delimitation, that is we redraw political boundaries for both parliamentary seats as well as state legislative assembly seats to ensure equal representation based on changes in population. Now, this not just includes redrawing of population of boundaries, but it also includes fixing the number of seats which is allocated to each state in Lok Sabha and how many seats are there in state legislative assemblies, right? So this is what a delimitation is. Why we conduct delimitation? First of all, it helps us to reflect the growth trends in population, how the population increase is changing over different areas. Some state might witness greater increase in population, some state might witness lower increase or even decrease in population, whereas in a similar state the composition of population may shift from rural to urban areas. So we also have to make changes accordingly, right? So it ensures that equal representation is provided. Earlier I told you, like suppose 10 lakh people were represented by one Lok Sabha MP, and if suppose that area doubles its population, so it should now get 2 MPs, right? So that is how we account for equal representation. It also helps prevent political imbalance. Suppose if the areas of population living in rural areas, they decrease, and if population living in urban areas, they increase, and if we do not change the representation for those areas, this will lead to political imbalance. So that is why we need delimitation to happen every few years, right? Now, when does delimitation happen? What does Constitution say about it? Let us understand. Now, Article 82 of the Constitution, it requires the Parliament to revise the allocation of Lok Sabha seats among states after every census, and we understand census usually is a decade long exercise, so we should revise the number of seats given to every state in Lok Sabha every 10 years, right? So this is the theory, what Constitution says about seats in Lok Sabha. Similarly, Article 170, it talks about number of seats that you're providing in state legislative assemblies, and they must also be adjusted after when? After every census. And to undertake this process is not taken by Election Commission of India or not by Government of India or Government of States. Rather, a delimitation act is passed separately by the Parliament whenever delimitation is needed, and to undertake this exercise, a separate commission known as Delimitation Commission is set up. But till today, since the time India has gotten independent, there has been only 4 times this Delimitation Commission has been set up: in 1952, 1963, 1973, and you can understand all of this happened after census of 1951, after census of 1961, after census of 1971. But this, for the 4th time, was set up in 2004 after census of 2021. So despite so many census, why had we only have 4 delimitation commission? Let us also understand the reason. Now, 42nd Constitution Amendment Act, it was introduced in 1976, and this was introduced after primarily southern states demanded that now that the population of northern states are increasing by greater number as compared to southern states, because southern states have implemented population control measures quite well, then effectively it would have put southern states at disadvantage. So hearing to the grievances of southern states, the government decided to bar or to freeze the number of seats that has been allocated to Lok Sabha as well as to various state legislative assemblies. So 42nd Amendment Act of 1976, it froze the number of seats in both Lok Sabha as well as state legislative assembly until 2001 census to encourage population control, because otherwise if we take population control, population will not increase as that much, and the consequences of that would be that you won't get larger amount of seats in Lok Sabha, right? So to incentivize population control, government introduced freezing of seats in both Lok Sabha and state legislative assembly. Now, when this was getting expired in 2001, government introduced 84th Amendment Act to extend this freeze up till 2026. But in this year, government said that we are going to come up with 2001 census data. So what you are allowed is to use this 2001 census data. Please fix the amount of seats as it was back in 1976, but you can redraw the political boundaries so that to account for changes in migration or changes in population within a state. So suppose if UP had 80 seats in Lok Sabha, it will continue to had 80 seats even after this exercise will happen, but you will change effectively the boundaries of that seat. So this allowed the freeze to continue while it allowed readjustment of political boundaries based on 2001 census, and for that this 2004 Delimitation Commission was set up. So it did not change the number of seats allocated to different states in Lok Sabha, and it did not even change the seats given in state legislative assembly. It only allowed redrawing of political boundaries based on the population data of 2001 census. Any doubt up till now? You can ask the question. I am going in a flow, that is why today I am not interacting that much. I will interact after this article, need not worry. But if you have any doubt, now is the right time to ask, otherwise I will move forward. कोई तो जवाब दो. सुष्मिता, रेशमा, संदीप, सिप्रा, टोनी, No doubt, na? I'll move forward. Kanchan, Lydia. Now the Delimitation Commission. No doubt. Okay. Now the Delimitation Commission is the body which is responsible for implementing the exercise of delimitation, right? So it is an independent body and it is a temporary body which is set up every time you require to do a delimitation exercise, and it is comprised of a retired or a working Supreme Court judge who acts as a chairperson of Delimitation Commission, Chief Election Commissioner of Election Commission of India, and State Election Commissioners of the concerned state where you are conducting the delimitation exercise. So this is what a Delimitation Commission is. It is a temporary body set up specially to undertake delimitation exercise, and it is set up only when the delimitation is required. So I told you this has been set up some total of 4 times right now. Now, what this Delimitation Commission does, that it redraws the constituency boundaries based on latest census data. This we already know. And it also allocates seats fairly among states and different constituencies. And while doing so, or before doing so, it consults political parties and relevant stakeholders before finalizing the boundary. And similarly, the decisions which is brought in by this Delimitation Commission, it cannot be challenged in courts as per Article 329 of the Constitution. So this decision of Delimitation Commission is full and binding, and you can't be subjected to judicial review, right? So judicial review of decisions of Delimitation Commission is not allowed. Please remember that. And Delimitation Commission's order, they are laid before both Lok Sabha and state legislative assemblies concerned, but they cannot affect any modification in those orders. So what I tell you, the orders in form of delimitation, how the seats will be changed whenever they are passed by Delimitation Commission of India, they are not subject to judicial review and they are not subjected to modification even by legislature, including parliament, including state legislative assembly. Now let us understand why are states concerned about it. Okay, let me give you a very simple example. Suppose India consists of 3 states, right? State A, State B and State C. And suppose State A has a population of 5 crore, State B has population of 2 crore, State C has population of 3 crore. And suppose in previous delimitation exercise, the Delimitation Commission said that we will provide 1 Lok Sabha seat for every 10 lakh population. So 1 seat in Lok Sabha will be provided for every 10 lakh population. So according to this formula, how many seats will State A get? State A will get 50 seats in Lok Sabha, right? State B will get 20 seats in Lok Sabha and State C will get 30 seats in Lok Sabha, right? So suppose this was in year 1971, understood? Now the year is 2021 and suppose obviously due to difference in population growth, due to differences in migration, the population in all these 3 states are expected to change, right? Now suppose in 2021, State A's population increases to 6 crore, State B's population decreases from 2 crore to 1.8 crore, whereas C state, it earlier had 3 crore population, now this decreases to 2.4 crore. So what is the population based on this formula that the Delimitation Commission has said after increase or changes in population in these 3 states? State A will have 60 seats in Lok Sabha, State B will have 18 seats in Lok Sabha and State C will have 24 seats in Lok Sabha. Understood? So now with changes in population, the amount of seats in State A increased by 10, whereas State B, it decreased by 2 seats and State C, it decreased by 6 seats, right? So now see, after changes in population, State A has gotten more representation in Lok Sabha, whereas State B and C has seen reduced representation in Lok Sabha. So why will State B and C agree to delimitation exercise? Because they know their representation is going to reduce after next census exercise. Understood? So this is why some states are opposed to this exercise, because they will see less representation in the Lok Sabha. That is why southern states like Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, Andhra, Telangana, they are witnessing reduced population growth rate, especially states like Kerala, they have seen reduction in the population, and this makes them fear that delimitation based on latest population data will reduce their representation in the Lok Sabha, because population growth in southern states is much lower than northern states because of better economic growth, higher literacy, better family planning policies, whereas northern states like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Madhya Pradesh, they have experienced higher population growth, and this would allow these northern states to get more representation in Lok Sabha, like the one I told you with this example, whereas B and C will be at disadvantage. Understood? Any doubt? If you have any doubt, now is the right time to ask, otherwise I'll move forward. Now, how much seats are available for UP in Lok Sabha? 80. Bihar has how much seats? 40 seats. West Bengal has how much seats? 42 seats, and this is current seats in Lok Sabha, right? Similarly, southern states, Tamil Nadu has how much? 39 seats. Karnataka has how much? 28 seats. Andhra and Telangana in total has 42 seats, right? So this is the current amount of seats for northern and southern states in Lok Sabha, and it is expected that in after 2026 delimitation, the seats given to Uttar Pradesh will increase to 143. So earlier it had 80, it will increase to 143. Bihar earlier had 40, it will increase to 79, or effectively doubling, right? Similarly, Bengal had 42, it will increase to 60. Now see, Karnataka from 28, it will only increase to 41. Tamil Nadu from 39, it will only increase to 49. So basically, both of them will get higher amount of seat, but the proportion of increase will be much higher in northern states as compared to southern states. Why? Because population is growing much higher in northern states. So that is why southern states are at a disadvantage, and we understand them. Understood? Any doubt up till now? Now let us see why is this such a big an issue. Let us discuss each and every fact. First of all, I told you there is an uneven population growth. Northern states are growing at a higher population rate, whereas southern states, some southern states like Kerala, they have witnessed decrease in population. So automatically this will see increase in seats, and this might see less increase or even decrease in seats, right? So that is why this will see a disproportionate representation more towards north as compared to south states, right? And when there is a decrease or asymmetry in federalism, automatically it will affect the equations between union and central government. And right now there is also uncertainty in the seats distribution formula. Government has still not clarified whether it will increase the seats in the proportion of its existing proportion, or it will just follow blindly the population data. And this, if not addressed, will lead to political discontent, which some may say even will threaten the unity of Indian federalism, right? So this is why this is an issue. Now some experts have suggested many good suggestions also, so let us understand that also. Now first of all, many experts say that the biggest issue with southern states is that their representation in Lok Sabha will reduce, right? So what we can do to alleviate their concern, we can cap the seats in Lok Sabha to the current seats, that is 543 seats, and this will alleviate concerns of southern states, while we can increase the number of seats in respective state assemblies, right? So this concern is basically a regional concern, state-wise concern, not a district-wise or a specific sub-regional concern, right? And therefore, we can also allow for a weighted representation model. So as to reduce the sole criteria of population, we can provide a greater amount of seats to, especially to those states that have lower population. And while doing so, we can also incentivize population control like we do with Finance Commission distribution of funds. How Finance Commission works, we will discuss in last article, need not worry. And whatever Dakkan Babu, can Chandrababu Naidu compel NDA to maintain status quo? Well, I am not Chandrababu Naidu, right? So whatever will happen, we will know automatically whether Chandrababu Naidu is able to compel NDA to maintain status quo. But we understand both of the reasons. You need to adjust seats, this is also understood. But by solely following just the population or other factors, like you can identify a weighted representation model, you can also incentivize population control, that some states who have taken population control measures, they should not be at disadvantage, right? So we should also allow these conditions to act like we do in Finance Commission. Similarly, whatever decision is made at central level, that has to be a consensus based decision. You can't make a decision without taking into account the concerns of southern states, right? And this would require a parliamentary debate and review, which should balance numerical representation on one hand with equity or equality in federal level, right? So this is what is a solution as suggested by many experts. Most important is that the need to cap the amount of seats in parliament at 543. Any doubt? Now this is the practice question that you can write after this session ends, and please do submit your answers in the ATS live discussion group. Many of you follow that already, and I'll request other aspirants to please help your fellow friends, right? Now there is also a there is also a prelims practice question that I have attached. Please answer this quickly. बताओ आंसर. सर अगर मैं आपकी वीडियो डेली देखता रहा हूं तो सीजीएल इंग्लिश में सही रहेगा. हाँ अनिल सही रहेगा. सॉरी आपका कमेंट मैं पहले नहीं देख पाया था. Well, all of you say option 2 and B, right? Give me a minute, I'll just have a water. गला सूख गया आज. Delimitation has been conducted in India after every census to adjust the number of Lok Sabha state and state assembly seats based on population changes. Well, this is incorrect. It has not. It should have been conducted, but it has not been conducted after every census. We have only had 4 instances of delimitation. The Delimitation Commission is an independent body responsible for redrawing constituency boundaries. Correct. 42nd Constitutional Amendment extended the freeze on number of seats till 2026. This is incorrect. They extended till 2001, but after that 84th Amendment Act was passed, which extended this to 2026. So what you can remember is 42 multiplied by 2 is 84. So that is how you can remember these Amendment Act. Okay. So third is incorrect, first is incorrect, only second is right. Option B is the right answer. Okay. Whew. Now this is the Pratigya evening batch of 2026. We have launched this batch specifically understanding the increased demand of courses. Earlier we opted for both May morning and May evening batch, but the admissions of all those batches are full, so that is why we have launched a different batch right now. You can take admissions in this batch, and suppose in this is a foundational batch, so we teach every subject that is relevant from GS perspective, polity, economy, everything will be taught individually by subject matter experts. You will also be having a test series for both prelims and mains, which you can give so as to ascertain your level of preparation, right? Now, to take admissions in this batch, what you need to do, go to our website, StudyIQ IS, right? Click on this StudyIQ IS website, click on our website, right? You will be needing to create an account first by simply logging in with your mobile number. After that, what you will be needing to do now is click on Explore Courses. Once you click Explore Courses, the upper tile tells you what kind of a language you want to take your admissions in. And suppose you want to take English wala batch, so what you need to do, click on the left hand tile here. Once you click on a left hand tile, you will see 37,999 is the course fees. But let me tell you a way where you can get admissions even on an amount lower than this amount, right? How you need to take admission? Click on Buy Now. Once you click on Buy Now, on your right, there is an option to add promo code. Right here, ATS Live, right? Once you write ATS Live, click on Apply. And as soon as you click on Apply, see, the diamond course now is available at 30,999 with a discount of 7,000 rupees. Similarly, platinum is at 27,500 and gold is at 16,999. Out of these three, obviously you can take admissions in whatever suits you the best. But if you ask me personally now, I will recommend you take admissions in the diamond batch. Why I am telling you to take admissions in the diamond batch? Because if you look at this slide, It tells you diamond course offers all the benefits, whereas some are not available in both gold and platinum. So choose accordingly, obviously as per your own wish, and do not forget to use the code ATS Live, also which is flashing on the bottom half of your screen, so as to get 7,000 rupees discount. I understand when you earn money, either your parents or you yourself, it is a very tough job to earn money, and you are required to save every money and use that money judiciously. That is why I'm recommending you, please use the code. Do not forget to do that, right? Now, moving on to the next article, this appeared in page 16th of the Indian Express newspaper, and it talks about illegal mining near Kaziranga has intensified despite the ban by Supreme Court of India. Now, first let us understand this graph. You can see Kaziranga National Park is located south from the Brahmaputra river, and if you understand, the mining activities happen in this area, automatically it will lead to erosion of the coastline, and the probability of Brahmaputra river water to flow inside Kaziranga National Park increases, and this problem exacerbates a lot, especially during the monsoon season when the flow of water is quite high in Brahmaputra river. So it leads to frequent flooding of Kaziranga National Park, and this problem of flooding will increase by greater amount if you allow mining activities to take place, because this will lead to coastal erosion, right? So understanding this problem, on the recommendation of Central Empowered Committee, the Supreme Court earlier had prohibited all mining and related activities in the region near Kaziranga, but despite that ban by Supreme Court, there is continuation of illegal mining, not just continuation but also intensification of this mining in the Parka Prahar area in the Kaziranga National Park. Now, what is important from Kaziranga perspective, that it is an important wildlife corridor between Brahmaputra floodplains as well as Karbi Anglong Hills, right? So in that regard, what becomes important are the National Park of Kaziranga. Now, Kaziranga National Park is located somewhere in the central part of Assam, and in total Assam has how many national parks? Not 7, 8 national parks. The newest national park is known as Sikhna Jwalao National Park, which is located between Raimona in the west and Manas in the east, right? So this is Sikhna Jwalao National Park, is the latest national park in Assam, that is 8th national park. Okay, now I've done a separate video on Sikhna Jwalao National Park. I will upload the notes in the comment section. You can watch the video using this particular link, right? Now, for our today's discussion, let us come back to Kaziranga National Park. The location of Kaziranga National Park, it is located in Golaghat and Nagaon district of Assam, between obviously Brahmaputra river and the Karbi Anglong Hill. Now, the rivers which flows through this national park, it includes Difalu, which is again a tributary of Brahmaputra, and another tributary of Brahmaputra, Mora Difalu. It flows alongside the southern boundary of the national park. So, Difalu flows through the Kaziranga National Park, whereas Mora Difalu, it flows on the southern boundary. Now, in addition to being a national park, Kaziranga also is a tiger reserve, important bird area, particularly because it is located at the junction of Australasia and Indo-Asian flyway, and it is frequented by birds who are migrating from colder regions in the north to warmer regions in the south during cold season. Similarly, it has been designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1985, right? So this is also important from our today's discussion. This is designated as a natural World Heritage Site, right? Please remember that. Now, more details about Kaziranga is that it is the largest undistributed or undisturbed area between Brahmaputra Valley floodplain, and the plants that are available in this region, especially it is famous for its tall elephant grass, which is a quality of marshlands as well as Terai region, right? Terai region is the region which is very near to the Himalayan region. Now, in addition to tall elephant grass, rattan cane, aquatic plants like water hyacinths as well as lotus are also available. But the more important aspect about this national park are the animals that are living in the national park, and the flagship species in the Kaziranga is greater one-horned rhinoceros. In addition to that, hoolock gibbon, predators like tiger, leopard, other important animals like Indian elephant, sloth bear, wild water buffalo, swamp deer are also living in. But I told you the flagship species are greater one-horned rhinoceros, and the largest amount of greater one-horned rhinoceros anywhere in the world are available in Kaziranga, and as per the latest population census, they are numbering 2,613 greater one-horned rhinoceros, right? So these are the flagship species. So before ending our today's discussion, let us understand few details about this greater one-horned rhinoceros. Why one-horned? Because this is the horn that there is, right? And if Noida can be greater Noida, why can't be rhinoceros, greater one-horned rhinoceros, right? Now, jokes apart, greater one-horned rhinoceros are also called as Indian rhinoceros, and in terms of size, they are the largest of the three Asian rhino species, and with African white rhinos, they are the largest of all rhinos present anywhere. Now, the more important fact about these rhinos, that their scientific name is Rhinoceros unicornis, right? Why unicornis? Because they have one horn similar to the mythical creature unicorn. Sir, please explain income distance in finance commission topic. आएगा तब ना. When the finance commission topic will come, I'll discuss everything. We are discussing what? Kaziranga. Here, what is Kaziranga famous for? One-horned rhinoceros. Why one-horned? Because this, and that is why its scientific name is also what? Rhinoceros unicornis. Now, other important facts about rhinoceros are the habitats they are available in. Now, basically, greater one-horned rhinoceros are semi-aquatic species who often take up their residences in areas of swamp, forest, riversides, and anywhere that is near to the nutritious mineral lake blocks. Now, mineral lake blocks are basically saline deposits which are rich in minerals, and by the name itself, animals lick it and gain their nutrition from, right? Now, in terms of the geographical spread, the greater one-horned rhinoceros, they are found in India, Nepal, particularly in the foothills of Himalayan region. But what is more surprising, earlier these greater one-horned rhinoceros, they were roaming around floodplains and forest of Brahmaputra river, and with that Ganga river and Indus river valley itself. So now their geographical spread has contracted to just India and Nepal, and primarily located only in the foothills of Himalayas. Now, I told you the greatest number of this species, greater one-horned rhinoceros, they are available in Kaziranga. But when it comes to density, the highest density of greater one-horned rhinoceros is not in Kaziranga, but in Pabitra Wildlife Sanctuary, right? Pabitra Wildlife Sanctuary also in Assam. Now, in terms of habits, you can simply identify these species by their single black horn, which can stretch up to 8 to 25 inches long. And they also, in terms of their body, they are consisting grey brown hide with skin folds, which gives them an armor plated appearance, right? Now, in terms of dietary preferences, these species are primarily grazer species, which means they only eat plants. They majorly rely on grasses, but they can also eat leaves, branches, fruits, aquatic plants, etc. So I don't think if anyone recommends you to eat non-vegetarian to get a jacked up body, please cite them the example of greater one-horned rhinoceros. See how bulky and how threatening it is, and it is living on plants and leaves, right? Similarly, the species, in terms of the behavioral pattern, they prefer to live alone. That is why they are called as solitary, except obviously females who are living with small kid rhinoceros, and the males, they dominate, probably loosely defend their territory, so that is why they are very territorial, just like lions and tigers, right? But the more important fact is that they are solitary animals, not preferring to live in groups. Now, another aspect of the species are the protection status. In terms of IUCN Red List, they are protected as vulnerable species, whereas CITES categorize them as Appendix 1 species, so that if not prohibited their global trade, otherwise they will become threatened. So CITES prohibits international trade in this species, except when for the purpose of import is done for the scientific research purposes. That is allowed, but for commercial purposes, the species can't be traded. Similarly, as per the Wildlife Protection Act, they are given the highest status, that is in Schedule 1. So it means they are protected as same as tigers and lions in India, and hunting, capturing of these species are prohibited offense, right? Now, another important fact about one-horned rhinoceros is the Special Rhino Protection Force. This is a dedicated unit within Kaziranga National Park, and it is formed specially to combat rhino poaching, because poachers and illegal smugglers, they were killing rhinos for their horn, which is very much in demand in black markets. And SRPF is actually a collaboration between both Government of India and Government of Assam, and it was initiated by National Tiger Conservation Authority, right? So this is all what you needed to know about Kaziranga National Park. Before moving to the next article, let's see how many of you are able to solve this topic. Kaziranga National Park is located in Assam and is famous for vast stretches of tall elephant grass and marshland. This is correct. The river Barak flows through the park, providing essential water source for its diverse flora and fauna. Incorrect. What did I tell you? It was river Brahmaputra and its tributaries Defalu and Mora Defalu. And it is home to world's largest population of one-horned rhinoceros. Correct. And was declared as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1985. Correct. So obviously second is incorrect. First and third are right. So option C is the right answer. Dhakkan Babu, Reshma, Mini, Shushmita, Rishi, Kanchan, Lydia, all of you are right. Correct. Now moving to the last article, we won't be able to do Finance Commission today. Tomorrow we'll do it, Finance Commission in detail. First article tomorrow, Finance Commission. Okay. Now let us deal with this article. It appeared on the economy page on the left corner in this section briefly. It talked about FSDC meeting. So I thought FSDC was very important. What is FSDC? FSDC is basically Fiscal Stability and Development Council. It is an apex level body constituted by Government of India, and it was created after a recommendation made by Raghuram Rajan Committee in 2018 because they wanted to create a super regulatory body. And finally in 2010, when Finance Minister of India was ex-President Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, he decided to set up such an autonomous body dealing mostly with macroprudential and financial regulations in the entire financial sector in India. So in this regard, who are the members of FSDC? Let us find out. FSDC is chaired by Finance Minister, and it includes members who are heads of financial sector regulators, RBI Governor, Chairperson of SEBI, Chairperson of Pension Fund Regulatory Authority, Insurance Regulatory Authority, as well as Forwards Market Commission. Now, Forwards Market Commission right now comes under SEBI, but independently, the chairperson of FMC is also the part of FSDC. It also includes Finance Secretary or Secretary of Department of Economic Affairs, in addition to Secretary of Department of Financial Services, as well as Chief Economic Advisors. And the council has the liberty to invite experts even for its meeting whenever they are required. And the frequency of this meeting of FSDC, it happens whenever it is deemed necessary by the chairperson, who is the Finance Minister of India, right? So it is not mandated that they should meet after every month, every 2 months, but rather whenever chairperson requires, the meeting will be called of FSDC. Now what FSDC does, it strengthens and utilizes the mechanism for maintaining financial stability in India. And how does it maintain financial stability? By enhancing the coordination between various regulatory bodies. It promotes development of financial sector. Why it promotes development of financial sector? So that improve financial literacy of people, improve levels of financial inclusion in the country, improving the supervision of economy on a broader scale, including how large financial conglomerates, private companies are also functioning. Suppose LIC has several investment in companies like RIL and companies like Tata Group. So their health is also important for economy, right? They are employing lakhs and lakhs of people. Similarly, it coordinates with India's international interface with financial bodies or financial regulatory bodies worldwide, like our famous FATF, Financial Stability Board. All of this is coordinated by FSDC, and it includes how many members? So many members, which are all the heads of important regulatory authorities in India, and it is chaired by the Finance Minister of India, right? So before ending our today's discussion, let's see how many of you are able to solve this PYQ which appeared in 2016. Yes, it is an executive body like NTL. It is not a statutory body. Well, it is an organ of Niti Aayog. Incorrect. Headed by Finance Minister. Correct. It monitors macroprudential supervision of economy. Correct. So 2 and 3 are right. First is not. Option C again is your right answer. Yes, Reshma, Dakkan, Kanchan, Rishi, Tony, Shushmita, Sarang, all of you are right. And the notes, they will be available on Telegram channel ATS Live, right? So this brings an end to our today's discussion. We'll start off this article tomorrow, and need not worry, we'll also cover tomorrow's newspaper. So this is the end. Please do not forget to download the notes, which I'll upload in few minutes from now. Okay. So please have a very good day.